right. Thank you guys for being here. There's definitely a bigger turnout than I expected. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. We're going to be talking about Instagram and how you can use it for real estate. You can really leverage it to generate organic leads and help to develop a cohesive brand online. So we're going to cover a couple different things, all in that kind of realm. But first of all, with a show of hands, how many people are already using Instagram for their business? Anyone? A little bit. Okay, good. So today we'll talk about how you can stand out on social media, how you can really grow and engage with people in order to set yourself apart and connect with people that were more likely to use you as their realtor, content that people really want to see, and then generating organic leads from your social media account as well. So just first of all, a little bit of information about who is hanging out on Instagram and why it's a great place to be. There are over 1 billion active monthly users currently on Instagram. We surpassed the 1 billion mark in 2018, which is pretty wild. And about 80% of those follow at least 10 businesses or service providers. So it just goes to show you that this is really becoming an increasingly large place that people are finding, their businesses, the services that they'd like to use, and connecting with people in order to really make those ultimate decisions. And as I'm sure you've all heard this statistic before, 9 out of 10 home buyers are relying on the internet to begin their search. So you can see that this is a great opportunity to capture your little corner of the internet and be able to develop that even further and have a really great place to begin. So as far as the user demographics, about 59% of 18 to 29-year-olds are on Instagram currently as active users, as well as 33% of 30 to 49-year-olds. So you can see that a lot of people, especially in our millennial range, which are some of our newest home buyers, are all hanging out on Instagram. And it's a great place to be connecting with those kinds of people. If you're thinking that your target market is a little bit older than that, I encourage you to recognize that a lot of times we listen to the people who are close to us, right, which are kids, cousins, aunts and uncles, all these sorts of things who are likely on Instagram if maybe your direct market is not. And so you can be still making those connections and receiving referrals that way. And then, of course, we've got 38% of online women are using Instagram and 28% of online men are using Instagram. And then here's a little snapshot as well about the income as far as people who are using Instagram. It's definitely interesting to see that these are really highly qualified candidates that you can be connecting with as far as purchasing their first homes. So the first thing is standing out. This is about kind of branding yourself on Instagram and making it so that people can identify with you and set yourself apart from others. So with that, we want to be really displaying your branding, showing what makes you different. And you can do this by identifying a few little things that you can incorporate into your content to be able to separate yourself from others. This helps with recognition and identification. I usually encourage that people choose maybe 2-3 colors that are sort of your brand's colors, maybe if you're a part of a team, or you could use my home group colors and just sort of work from there and be incorporating those into the content that you're producing. This helps because when people are starting to see that content, before they even see the name of the person who put it out there, they're going to start to recognize that this is yours. They're going to start having that sort of mental connection every time they see maybe a story that you've published or a post on your feed with similar colors. They're going to start to make those connections. So having your branding stand out is something that's super important and allows people to feel that connection. It's also your first impression. So think about potential sellers or buyers who are now looking at your social media platforms. This is a great way to display how you're going to market potentially their home if they choose to sell with you. So if you've got a really cohesive look and a really strong brand just on your social media, it's kind of like an unspoken resume. You're already showing what you can do. You're showing that presentation of how you're going to present something, and you can use that to your advantage when talking about your marketing plan for selling. As far as what you need for branding, there can be a lot of things that sometimes get diluted. Sometimes you feel a little overwhelmed, especially newer agents who are feeling like, oh my gosh, I need a logo and a tagline and all these crazy things. I encourage you to just keep it very simple. Like I said, choose maybe 2 to 3 colors that you can identify with your brand. Some text, some fonts that really look like everything that you're publishing is cohesive, goes together. If you are, maybe some of the content you're putting out is quotes or statistics or anything like that, you can be throwing it onto a simple colored background with a text that is the same for all of your posts so that people are starting to recognize that. The next most important thing is your bio and your profile setup. So this is sort of funny because it's about real estate, but your bio is truly your most important, most valuable piece of real estate on Instagram. When somebody is coming to your profile, you've got about 3 seconds, and I think that's honestly an overshot. I think it's less than that. You've got about 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention, show them what kind of value you can provide, and let them know what they can get from following you. So if you don't have a very clear statement here and something that is easy to understand for anyone coming to your profile, then you can miss out on a lot of opportunities here. So that is some of the most valuable real estate on Instagram. I love to write things in an I help statement or some sort of very clear format that allows people to understand what it is you do and the value you provide. For example, helping Arizona residents learn how to buy, sell, and invest with confidence. This is just being super clear with what you're laying out and what you're allowing people to gather from following you. So writing it in an I help statement is super, super powerful. This is also a great way to just develop and display your branding. You can have them in your story highlights. You can do like a similar color across everything, have things really stand out to people. And then last but not least is right here is actually what we call Instagram's SEO feature. So now when somebody is going onto Instagram and they're going to search for Arizona real estate or real estate, they're most likely to come up to this profile because that's what the name is called on that profile versus just somebody's name. If you put your own personal name in there, unless somebody's searching for that in specific, they're not going to be brought to your profile. So you can have your name in there and throw maybe something else that kind of helps as a keyword for people to find you more consistently. And then we always add a call to action. Find something that you want people to be doing on your profile and throw it in your bio as well. Here we have download our free home buyer's guide. They can now click this link, download a free buyer's guide, they've entered their email, and we've now captured a new lead. The next most important part about standing out on social media, Instagram in particular, is being able to tell your story. We are so lucky to have these kind of platforms to be able to allow people to connect to us and understand us as a person. It allows you to set yourself apart from other people. We know that there are tons of other realtors out there that people could potentially be using. So if you're giving them the opportunity to connect with you as a person and see a little bit about how you do business and what it is that sets you apart from someone else, you're going to be able to differentiate yourself from other people. So use your Instagram to show off what makes you unique and what sets you apart. One way that I love to do this is sort of an action step that you can use, is think about the 5 things that really make you you, especially in your business. These can be, maybe some of the primary clients that you work with if you work primarily with first-time home buyers or millennials or people who are empty nesters, whatever it may be. You can really be catering to these sorts of people and showing off the things that you focus on. So think about the 5 things that make you you, that define you as somebody different, and be able to show those off. I think it's important as well, especially if you are an individual agent, to incorporate things about yourself. This is a question that I get all the time. Should you combine your personal Instagram account with your business account? I get asked that all the time. I think that there's not really one definitive answer. I think that it's great in order to show, again, people who you are because they can connect with you. If they see that you've got little kiddos, maybe they do too, and there can be some sort of connection there. But I think there's definitely a way to separate those two so that you're not just posting what you had for breakfast and then the listing that you just got. And then another great rule of thumb is using the 80-20 rule. The most important thing about telling these stories on social media is providing people with value. Don't constantly be asking for something in return. Don't constantly be asking them to call you or opt into something. Be providing people with a lot of value. This helps to, set your authority and show people that you are the expert in your field, but it also gives them a takeaway. When they come to the time of thinking who they want to use as their realtor, they're going to think, well, who is there helping me? Who really took the time to give me the resources and help me make my educated decisions? And you can take those first steps by leveraging Instagram to give people these tools with a lot of value. So the 80-20 rule is 80% value and 20% ask. So we can do this just by providing value and then incorporating a call to action. And then this also helps to also set the expectations for your viewers. As you start to build up your account, you're going to have people who are consistently absorbing your content, especially if you're using a lot of the Instagram features. So if you are consistent with not only your branding, but the value that you're providing, people are going to know what to expect, and they're going to, like, almost as second nature, be used to watching your stories and absorbing your content, and it's going to be right there in front of them. So you're setting the expectation of all of the value that you can provide them when you do get to sit down with them and take it to the next level. As far as growing your audience and engaging them in order to actually use you as their realtor, Instagram allows us to really connect with people in a specific way. This is true across all social media platforms, but especially Instagram. We're able to search with so many different little keywords and specific elements that we can focus more clearly on the specific people that we want to connect to. So you can use tools to prospect, build connections, and ultimately grow your audience by using things like hashtags, location settings, all sorts of things to be searching for people. I recommend that you search for different hashtags and keywords in the search bar. You can just type them in and pull them up. I'll show you on the next slide. And you can send just as little as 30 minutes each day using the 3-2-1 method, which is 3 comments, 2 likes, and then a follow if you feel like you can connect with this person. It's the best way to really get somebody's attention. You're going to have a high likelihood of them following you back and wanting to connect with you. So here are a few of the examples like I was talking about. You can be searching for people using different hashtags and location searches. So here was a search for Arizona living. You can see that there are 113,000 posts under this hashtag. You can actually follow this hashtag, so it's now going to show up in your in your feed. And now every time you're scrolling through your feed and you're seeing people post under this hashtag, you can be engaging with them and being one of the likely people that they can connect to. Same thing with moving to Phoenix. That one only has about 800 posts, but it's again another one to kind of diversify. So if you look at some of the common hashtags that you would think about using as an Arizona resident, you can use those to be able to connect with people. If you'll see here, they also have the related. So you've got Explore Arizona, Visit Arizona, Queen Creek. You've got all kinds of recommendations that you can dive into as well if you're struggling to think of some other resources to kind of be looking for. So this is a great tool that you can use. Like I said, you can follow those. You can see the top posts as well as the most recent ones. So people are just publishing those. You can see those. As far as also finding your people, when you are posting on Instagram, it's important that you are tagging your locations, because location posts are getting about 79% higher engagement than other posts. So when you're tagging the locations that you're at or the locations that you want to connect to, you're allowing people to find you more easily. You can do this not only in feed posts, but also in your stories. You can tag a location, it'll show up for people, and you have a higher likelihood of connecting with them. As far as the content that you can create, again, I mentioned it already, but value is the most important thing that we can give people, because again, they're going to be thinking about what is it that I can think about when it comes time for me wanting to purchase a house or sell a house. What is the value that was provided to me, and who provided that to me, right? So you can be giving people lots of authority to help establish your authority, that you're an expert in the field, but you're also providing them information that they can take and hold on to and keep for when they need it. So I always like to think of this with the giver's gain mentality. When you're giving somebody a lot of opportunity to learn and a lot of resources, especially ones that they can really grasp and hold on to and comprehend in an easy way, they're going to be able to keep that and then want to give back to you as far as connecting with you down the road. And then never underestimate the power of connection. This is sort of goes back to what I said when I pulled up the demographics, but even if you're thinking that your target audience may be out of the age range of someone hanging out on Instagram, I want you to not underestimate the power of connection and the power of, if you put something really valuable out there, some content, there is the opportunity that it gets shared with others. There's the opportunity that somebody is seeing it and now recommending that their friend or mom or dad is going to look at that. So there's a lot of power in that. A couple examples of content that you can be sharing, of course, is market updates, but making them really comprehensive. Sometimes it's easy for us to understand as agents. There are things that we're like, oh, of course that makes sense. But you have to sort of dial it back a little bit and maybe go into a bit more detail to explain it to your audience so that they're able to grasp it a bit more clearly. You could give maybe tips for some first-time home buyers. You could give tips for people who are preparing for a sale. Or you can be chatting with some of your partners, like your lending partners, title reps, and be getting some information. You can even hop on a video together and provide people with all of that sorts of value. As far as sharing on your stories versus your feeds, stories are a must-have. Stories are going to really help you show up for all of your people, and I know that it can seem a little overwhelming at first because you're thinking, well, shoot, I don't have time to be posting on my story 24 hours a day. I encourage you to shoot for 1 to 2 each and every day, and it doesn't have to be your face. If you're scared of hopping on there and talking to a camera, you can generate some content ahead of time. You can even find things on resources like Pinterest, or even Googling things and finding different tips that you can give people and be sharing those on your story. There's a feature that allows you to upload photos onto your story, so it doesn't always have to be something that you snapped right away. Stories are more real-time, and it's great for engaging content. I'll give you guys a few examples at the end of some great engaging content that you can be connecting with, and then your feed post should be something that's a bit more evergreen. And by evergreen, I mean that it's something that someone will want to see more frequently. A story is only around for 24 hours unless you're saving it to your profile. And so with the feed post, we're going to think about maybe some tips that somebody can use year-round. Buyer tips are great to throw into a feed post. You can have an unlimited amount of text in your captions, so you can be using it almost as a mini blog post to be giving people lots of opportunity to learn. So again, more examples are some lender insights. You can connect with your lenders and have them give you some of the top tips about current down payment assistance programs, or some tips and tricks for somebody who's looking to purchase 6 months down the road, and be incorporating that into your feed so that people can read that and then be reaching out to you as soon as they do. Testimonials are a great thing to share on your feed. This is something that people can be scrolling through and seeing some of your happy past clients as well as closed sales. As far as generating leads, this is what everybody wants to know, right? But the most important thing is about building connection. That's what we're allowed to do on social media, Instagram in particular. Like I said, we're able to show who we are and allow people to connect with us more clearly. So connections equal leads in the long term, right? Not always right away, but that's what we're always told is when people want to buy with us, it's because they like us, know us, and trust us. We're able to shortcut some of that process by utilizing social media and allowing people to know us on a larger scale. You're allowing people into little parts of you and showing them things that encourage them to have conversation with you, encourage them to engage with you, and be able to build that trust more quickly. I always love the quote that people love to shop with friends rather than feel sold to. So this reverts back to what I was talking about with content. When you're providing a lot of value and positioning yourself as a friend to these people, you're going to be giving them so much that they can now take this away. They feel like they got some great information from you, and they're going to think of you first and foremost when something comes back around. You can also use your advantage on Instagram to build personal connections. You can be DMing people. You can be searching for specific people and shooting them a message, letting them know that if they ever need help with buying, selling, investing, or they know somebody who's maybe interested in learning more about how they can become a first-time home buyer, you can connect with them now and start these conversations through Instagram. You would be surprised. People are very receptive to an open message about chatting about real estate or giving them some sort of value. Another great way to generate some leads on social media is using the poll features that we have on Instagram. I again have some examples at the end, so if this sounds like a foreign language, I promise there are some pictures that make it a little bit easier. But the poll feature allows people to vote on questions that they're asking, and actually has opportunity for them to ask you questions, and they come to you privately. So you can shoot them a message after that and be starting dialogue, and it's sort of a warmer connection because they already voted in on something, and you can really be creating those connections. Also, like I showed you in the screenshot of a profile, always be using the link in your profile for some sort of freebie opt-in, whether that is a buyer's guide, maybe a seller's guide, maybe it is download the latest market statistics for your neighborhood. There are so many different options of value that we can give people that they can take away in exchange for an email. And now you've got their email, maybe their contact information, just by giving them something very simple. And share about different loan programs that are available to buyers. Again, this is a place that you can leverage your partners to get more ideas for content. You can be talking to your lenders every single month and be getting lots of information from them to incorporate into your profile. And having people DM you for more information, you can now set up a meeting with both yourself and your lender. Also sharing examples of what you would provide for a curious seller. Whenever you've created maybe an awesome listing presentation or a really great home valuation that you took a lot of time on and it turned out really great, you can do a little snapshot of that and share it on your social media so that people are now, their interest is piqued, they're thinking, oh, that person's home increased in value $100,000 from the last time they sold it. Well, heck, maybe I want to know what my house is worth. So if you're doing those sorts of posts that are going to be generating interest and piquing that interest of others, you can be generating more leads. You can also, like I said, update your audience on market changes and make it really comprehensive for them so that they can truly understand it. It doesn't sound like mumbo jumbo. They're like, of course, this real estate agent would be able to understand what they're talking about, but we as people want to be able to understand what the market changes are like and what that means for us. So break it down for them and make it really comprehensive. So here are a few examples. Here's an example of using a poll feature. If you're maybe walking through a house, you can be getting people to engage with you by asking if they like certain things about the tile. Now when somebody is voting on this poll over here, you can send them some sort of message that opens up communication, like, hey Susan, thank you so much for taking the time to vote on my poll. I'm glad that you love this bathroom tile in one of my listings. I thought it was pretty cool myself. Any plans of updating your own bathroom anytime soon? Or something similar. You can tweak it however it makes sense for you, but this allows you to build connections and then potentially lend help. Maybe they're thinking, oh, I love this tile. Where did you get it from? Do you have a good recommendation for somebody to come retile my bathroom or whatever it may be? You're opening up these kinds of conversations. Another example is asking people if they know about some of the current loan programs. Again, they can be voting on it, and you can be responding to them with some sort of simple message. You can keep it in the notes section on your phone, so it's nice and easy to copy and paste it and share with people. But like I said, this is really easy because when somebody is voting on something like this, it's opening up that avenue for communication. It's already a little bit warmer, and you can really start to connect with them and give them a little bit more information. Another example is, of course, everybody, especially women, I threw that in there, we love to look at beautiful pictures of homes, right? So if you're ever showing a home or you're walking through maybe a broker open, be snapping a few photos, a few videos, and you can be using these different tools where people vote on a slider about what they like and what they don't like. Or if it's maybe a listing of yours, you can say, ready to make this yours, swipe up and type yes, and then you can give them more information about the home. So it's giving people that opportunity to let you know what they're interested in, or at least be opening up those different avenues for communication. And our last example is, again, the questions feature. I encourage you to use this. I use it about once a week to be stirring up opportunities to give people more information. What's really nice about this is, of course, I have the information up top. I said, have you been thinking about buying your first home but don't know where to begin? Ask me a question, anything about buying your first house. What you can do is you can actually type on that and type in your own questions. It doesn't tell you who asked the question. So if there's information that you want to present to people that maybe they aren't asking the right questions to get that out there, or maybe you're still in the process of building your following and people aren't engaging quite as much yet, you can actually type in some questions there to be able to give people that information and again, establish yourself as the expert. So for example, you could type in, what does my credit score need to be in order to purchase a home? And now you have the perfect opportunity to share that on your story, and it seems as though you're answering somebody's questions. That's a little trick of the trade. And then these are just the final rules of working on Instagram as a realtor. Keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. I know that it can seem very overwhelming at first, and it can seem like a full-time job. Keep it simple. Start with small, attainable goals. For example, with the stories, sharing 1 to 2 stories each and every day can be really simple and take a matter of 5 seconds. So keep it simple, and then as it starts to feel more natural to you, you can develop and get more into it. Have fun with it. That's the most important part. And then remember to be yourself. People love to shop with friends. They don't like to be sold to. So be making these connections with people and allow them into your life. If you want any more information, I have a few flyers up here. We do have an Instagram masterclass deep dive that is coming out on the 29th. It goes into how's, whys, and what's of Instagram as far as in-depth content for Instagram TV, Instagram Lives, Instagram Stories, anything like that, and access to resources like stock photography, hashtag libraries, all kinds of cool stuff like that. And we do have $100 off for any My Home Group agents. So we've got some flyers up here about that if you're interested. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys. Do you have any questions? Anything I can answer? No? Yes?
How many followers do you need in order to be able to have the business, swipe up for more information?
You do have to have 10,000 followers for the swipe up feature, but that is why I like to utilize, you can say swipe up and type, because if you don't have the swipe up feature, when somebody swipes up, it's starting a DM with you. It's starting a message. So I will still use that on accounts that don't have 10,000 and say swipe up and type more info or type interested or whatever it may be. And now they've sent you an easy message, you can have that conversation with them. Or swipe up for the link and then you can DM it to them. Anyone else? Okay, thank you guys for, again, taking the time to listen to me, and I hope that that was a little helpful.
Are these the flyers?
Yes, right there. Of course.
Great job.
Thank you. So, I'm going back and forth. So I know that's a question that's all the time.
This might.
In my opinion, it depends how much you like to share personal information, I guess.
Yeah.
If it's constantly things of family and vacation stuff, then usually I'll recommend having the two separate. But if it's nothing that's too personal, some people get kind of worried about sharing certain things. Everybody, the general public, is going to be able to see it.
Okay.
So if that's the case, I recommend separating it. But I don't see a problem with being able to really allow people to
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Of course.
How much is the class?
Classes can be $299, like $100 cost will be $199.
Per day or?
No, it's a online class, so you'll have lifetime access to it. There's lots of added freebies and downloadable options too. Of course. It'll be $199 after the discount.
Thank you.
Of course.